Hello everyone, and welcome to the 487th episode of Analyzing Evil, featuring Jeffy from SML. This is a character that I, and many others agree, is one of the most morally bankrupt characters, potentially, in the history of fiction. And with his lengthy list of crimes and atrocities over the past decade being a part of the series, I think it's safe to say he'll be one of the most truest evil villains we've ever covered on this channel. Before we move any further, however, I must give a quick trigger warning for some of the topics that we'll be discussing in this video. If you are sensitive to discussions or depictions of acts of pedophilia, sexual assault, rape, drug use, child abuse, among other things, I would advise clicking off of this video. Please proceed with caution. Thank you. And now, we may delve into the corrupted evil that is Jeffy. Jeffy is a 21-year-old, mentally handicapped, intellectually disabled man living with his adopted parents, Marvin and Rose Wilfred. Throughout the course of the series, we've seen Jeffy grow up and transform from a sympathetic child with a somber backstory to a sociopathic man-child who only acts in self-interest and does not hesitate to go to drastic means when he feels threatened or desires something, often getting physically violent or sexually aggressive at the drop of a hat. Sorry, that was the wrong footage. Jeffy's modern-day actions may be partially explained by his traumatic childhood. Jeffy spent the first 12 years of his life living with his abusive, drug-addicted mother, Nancy Jeffy, who worked as a prostitute for drug money. They lived in a small, run-down crack den, in which Jeffy would be locked in a cage with his little sister, Phoebe, who we will discuss further in a moment. Jeffy's father, the famous in-universe painter, Jacques-Pierre Francois, was roofied and raped by Jeffy's mother, in the hopes their child would one day grow up to inherit his biological father's fortune after he passed away. This is an incredibly stupid plot, but you aren't supposed to think about it that deep, I suppose. Thus, Jeffy would grow up without a father, despite the several men who would come and go transactionally with his mother. Additionally, one of these men got Nancy pregnant, leading to the birth of his sister Phoebe. During her childhood, Nancy would force Phoebe to perform sexual acts with a man named CJ in exchange for drugs, which obviously enraged Jeffy, leading him to attack and later kill CJ. It isn't unlikely that these experiences throughout Jeffy's childhood are what caused his short temper and quick turn to violence later in life. Eventually, Phoebe would be struck by a truck, which prematurely ended her life, and Jeffy, at around the age of 12, would be abandoned by Nancy, where he would eventually find the home of Marvin, known at the time as Mario, and later end up being adopted by him. His living conditions with Marvin, while much better than Nancy's, were still not the ideal environment to raise a child with special needs. There are several examples of Mario beating his son over the years, as well as neglecting him and his needs, and even attempting to get him killed. The evil of Marvin could be made into its own video, but that is the subject for another April 1st. Anyhow, as Jeffy would grow up under the care of the Wilfreds, we would see his personality begin to change, going from a slow, oftentimes annoying, yet well-meaning kid, into the demented adult we know him as today. It could be theorized that the environments Jeffy was raised in, and the people he spent so much time around, could have desensitized him to the kind of evil acts we see him perform. Him being yet another victim of the cycle of abuse started by his parents, and probably their parents before them, doomed to repeat the behavior he grew up constantly exposed to. It should be stated, however, that just because someone has a traumatic past, or an explanation for the reason they act the way they do, they are still capable of committing heinous atrocities, and should not be absolved of accountability or responsibility for their crimes. Jeffy is a master manipulator, practically having his parents on strings wrapped around his fingers. There are several examples of Jeffy employing manipulative tactics to control situations with Marvin and Rose to get his desired outcome. When Rose is around, who almost always takes Jeffy's side in any conflict, Jeffy will act more weak and defenseless than he truly is, and will scream and cry like an infant to ensure he receives whatever it is he wants. He knows how to push Marvin's buttons, saying and doing the exact right things in order to completely break down his defenses and make him comply with his desires. He even seems to derive a level of enjoyment from this, finding humor in the suffering of his adopted father. The amount of social awareness and planning skills Jeffy has demonstrated over the years have led some to theorize he may be fully faking whatever disability he claims to have, and uses it as an excuse to shift blame and responsibility away from himself whenever he fails in one of his plots. There is also Jeffy's long list of sexual crimes, with examples dating as far back as 2019. The most disturbing and egregious of these, though, would have to be the relatively recent development of Jeffy's genie, in which he forces to perform oral sex on him daily, despite the man's cries and pleas for the assault to stop. This footage is highly uncomfortable to watch, and is objectively one of, if not the most morally dubious crime Jeffy has committed. I believe this video is almost a point of no return for this character, and the moment we truly see how far into the depths of depravity Jeffy has fallen, most likely not even viewing the things he forces this innocent man to do as wrong in any way. And given how his own father has shown to have interests in the same things, I don't believe he ever will. Jeffy is a classic example of the effects of generational trauma, repeating the cycle of abusive, traumatic behavior he was so heavily exposed to in his most formative years, leading him to continue the cycle in adulthood, if not do worse than those before him, perhaps ending up in the care of people more equipped to deal with him than the Wilfreds could have changed his future. But despite the things he's endured in his past, he's still proven time and time again to have learned nothing from it, and growing into a more twisted and demented man every day. Sorry, wrong footage again. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Analyzing Evil, and I hope you've enjoyed. What do you think about Jeffy? Did I miss anything? Let me know down below, and leave a suggestion for a villain you'd like to see featured next. The next episode will likely be about someone else I've been meaning to cover for a long time. Baby no money, so stay tuned. Thank you all for your continued support of the channel. Subscribe, and April Fools.
Life is a wonder!
You'll never know the answer.
Nature is a miracle!
Natural disasters.
It's good to be alive!
You could wake up with cancer.
But I'm healthy!
Healthy people still get cancer.
Hey gay! Hey gay, faggot.
6, 7, 6, 7. Good.
That's a tough transition. The old 6-7-6-7.